In the name of Almighty God, the most compassionate and the most merciful, I welcome you all, my lovely brothers and sisters from all over the world. Today, it is our fifth lecture, I think, in Trigonometry, chapter 3. By the way, we have to define the trigonometric ratios of half an angle in terms of cosine alpha. First, what does it mean? It means we have to find half an angle. Half an angle, what do you mean? For example, 15 degree. So if this one is half, twice the double form for this one is 30. What do I mean? If we have 30 degree, how we can define 15? If we have 30 degree, how we can find 15? If we have, for example, 40, how we can find, what's the half for this one? 20. If the trigonometric ratios of 40 degree is given, now how we can define 20 degree? Now, which trigonometric ratios of 40 must be given? Cosine. What do I mean? If we have cosine of 40, how we can find the 20? Sine of 20, cosine of 20, and tangent of 20. It's simple. Obviously, we know that if we can define sine of 20, so we know the cosecant of 20 also. Am I right or not? Yes. Now, if I have cosine of 30, now how we can define half of 30, which is 15. Now, sine of 15, cosine of 15, and tangent of 15. By help of what? Cosine of 30. Cosine of 30, not sine of 30, not tangent of 30. If we have cosine of 40, how we can define other trigonometric ratios of the half of the 40? If we have cosine of 30, how we can define 15 degrees, all trigonometric ratios? This is our lesson. I think we've got. Okay. By the way, maybe you think that if we have sine of 30, can we define 15 sine, cosine, and tangent? Listen to me. If I have cosine of 40, now we are able in here, inshallah, how to define cosine of 20, sine of 20, and also tangent of 20. But if sine of 40 is given, are we able to define cosine of 20, sine of 20, and tangent of 20? Obviously not according to this topic. But if you know sine of 40, by making a right angle triangle, you are able, if you have sine, you are able to define cosine, you are able to tangent. Or we can say, if you have sine of 40, you are able to define cosine of 40 also, according to which formula? Sine square of alpha plus cosine square of alpha is 1. Now, if you have this one, you are able to define cosine, and when you define cosine of 40, you are able to use that formulas, these formulas which I want to prove, then you are able to define cosine 20, sine 20, and also tangent 20. I think you have got. Okay. Now, we will start. Please find a place, pick up your notebooks, and think deeply how we can define and how we can find the formulas. Okay, simple. What's the formula for cosine of 2 alpha? Cosine of 2 alpha, we have three formula. Cosine square of alpha minus sine square of alpha, 2 cosine square of alpha minus 1, and 1 minus 2 sine square of alpha. Am I right? Yes. Now, I want to use this formula. What do I mean? If we want to define cosine of alpha, you can use 1 minus 2 sine square of its half. What's the half for alpha? Alpha by 2. For 2 alpha, it's alpha. For 3 alpha, 3 alpha by 2. For 4 alpha, it's 2 alpha. For alpha, it is alpha by 2. Am I right or not? Yes. Now, I will put this one in the left side. So, you will have 2 sine square of alpha by 2 is equal 1. Put this one in the right side. 1 plus cosine, 1 minus cosine alpha. Sorry. Now, divide both sides by 2. Sine square of alpha by 2 is equal to 1 minus cosine square of alpha by 2. Now take the root on both sides. So you will have sine of alpha by 2 is equal to root of 1 minus cosine alpha by 2. This is the definition for what? Half an angle in terms of cosine alpha. If this one is alpha by 2, this is twice form to alpha. If this one is alpha, so this one should be 1 minus cosine of 2 times for this one, which is 2 alpha divided by 2. If this one is sine of 3 alpha, now in terms of cosine of double alpha, it would be 1 minus cosine of double of this one, it is 6 alpha by 2. If this one is sine of 5 alpha, so 1 minus what? Cosine of 10 alpha by 2. For alpha by 2, alpha. For 2 alpha, 4 alpha. For alpha, 2 alpha. For 3 alpha, 6 alpha. For 5 alpha, 10 alpha. For 10 alpha, 20 alpha. I think you have got. For alpha by 4, alpha by 2, which is the double of alpha by 4. Write it please. Now to define the formula for cosine, we use the second one. I mean the cosine alpha in terms of cosine of half, we can use cosine square of alpha by 2 for alpha by 2, sine square of alpha by 2, and this one is also 2 cosine square of alpha by 2 minus 1 minus 2 sine square of alpha by 2. I will use this one, 2 cosine square of, what's the half for this one? It's alpha by 2 minus 1. Now put this minus 1 to the left side, so you will have 2 cosine square alpha by 2 is 1 plus cosine alpha. Am I right? Yes. Now divide both sides by 2. You will have cosine square of alpha by 2 is equal to 1 plus cosine of alpha divided by 2. Take root on both sides. You will have cosine of alpha by 2 is equal to root 1 plus cosine of alpha by 2. This is the formula for cosine of half in terms of cosine alpha. If this one is alpha, so it should be 1 plus cosine of 2 alpha by 2. If this one is 2 alpha, it should be 1 plus cosine of 4 alpha by 2, like this. If this one is 3 alpha, 6 alpha, it's 4 alpha, it is what? 8 alpha. If this one is 2 alpha, 4 alpha, alpha, 2 alpha, alpha by 2, alpha, alpha by 4, alpha by 2, alpha by 8, alpha by 4, alpha by 10, alpha by 5. I think you have got. Write it please. How we can define for tangent? Can I write tangent alpha by 2 is equal to sine alpha by 2 divided by cosine alpha by 2? Yes, obviously. So tangent of alpha by 2 is equal to, instead of sine alpha, we have got the formula 1 minus cosine alpha by 2. We have proved this one. And instead of this one, 1 plus cosine alpha by 2. Now if you want to simplify this one, tangent alpha by 2 is, so under 1 root you will have 1 minus cosine alpha by 2 divided by 1 plus cosine alpha by 2. This 2 with this 2 is cancelled. So what you have found, tangent alpha by 2 is root 1 minus cosine alpha 1 plus cosine alpha. This is the formula we can use for tangent alpha by 2. Or if I want to write this one for alpha, so it should be 2 alpha, 1 minus cosine of 2 alpha divided by 1 plus cosine of 2 alpha. If I use this one for 2 alpha, it should be 4 alpha, 1 minus cosine of 4 alpha and 1 plus cosine of 4 alpha. Like this one, you can write the other terms. Write it please. Our next topic, trigonometric ratios of alpha in terms of tangent alpha by 2. What do you mean? It means tangent of alpha by 2 is given. For example, tangent of 15 is given. Now, this is the double form for that one. It means, what's double form for 15? It's 30. Now you have to find sine of 30, cosine of 30 degree, and tangent of 30 degree. If tangent of 20 is given, tangent of 20, which is tangent of alpha by 2. Now you have to find alpha. Alpha is the double form for alpha by 2. What's the double form for 20? It is 40. Now you have to find sine of 40 if this one is given, cosine of 40, and tangent of 40. Obviously, if sine is given, just use this formula: sine square of alpha plus cosine square of alpha plus is equal to 1. If sine of 20 is given, you will find cosine of 20 and divide sine by cosine. You will find tangent of 20, and by usage of tangent of 20, by support of this one or by help of this one, you can define the 40 degree also. I think you have got. Okay, we will continue how to define the formula. Okay. One thing you know, sine of alpha is in terms of alpha by 2 is 2 sine of alpha by 2 times cosine of alpha by 2. This is our first formula. Also we know that sine square of alpha plus cosine square of alpha is 1. And if this one is alpha by 2, this one is alpha by 2. Once again, sine square of alpha by 2, cosine of square of alpha by 2, it's also 1. Sine of every angle plus cosine of that angle, cosine of square of that angle, it is 1. Now, I will divide the first equation by second equation. So, divide this one, sine alpha by 1, and divide this one, 2 sine of alpha by 2 times cosine of alpha by 2 divided by sine square of alpha by 2 plus cosine square of alpha by 2. Am I right? Yes. Now sine alpha is divide numerator and denominator by cosine square of alpha by 2. Can we do? Yes. 2 sine of alpha by 2 times cosine of alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2, in which cosine of square of alpha by 2, it should not be 0. Why? Because we cannot define a fraction or divide that one by 0. So here also sine square of alpha by 2 plus cosine square of alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2. This is cancelled, and our question is the same which it was. Okay, sine alpha this is our sine alpha. Now we have a cancellation here, so it will be 2 sine of alpha by 2 divided by cosine of alpha by 2. Am I right? Yes. Now if we separate this one and divide individually, sine square by cosine square, plus cosine square alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2. Now this is cancelled. We have sine of alpha, to put this one, sine divided by cosine, it's tangent alpha by 2. Am I right? This is 1 plus sine divided by cosine, it is tangent square of alpha by 2. This is the definition for alpha in terms of tangent half. If this one is alpha, this is alpha by 2. If this one is 2 alpha, so this is alpha, 2 tangent alpha, 1 plus tangent square of alpha. What do I mean? If this one is sine of 2 alpha, So it should be 2 tangent of, what's the half for this one? It is alpha. 1 plus tangent square of alpha. Am I right? If this one is sine of 4 alpha, what's its half? 2 tangent of 2 alpha, 1 plus tangent square of 2 alpha. I think you have got. Write it please. For cosine, what's cosine of alpha? In terms of its half, we have 3 formula. One of them is cosine square of alpha by 2 minus sine square of alpha by 2. This is our first equation. And sine square of alpha by 2 plus cosine square of alpha by 2, this one is 1. Am I right? Yes. Now divide both equations. 1 divided by 2. This divided by this one, which is cosine alpha, and this one divided by this one. Cosine square of alpha by 2 minus sine square of alpha by 2. Here sine square of alpha by 2 plus cosine square of alpha by 2. Now both numerator and denominator I want to divide by cosine square of alpha by 2, which we should be able to define tangent. Now here also cosine square of alpha by 2, here also cosine square of alpha by 2. Now what's the numerator? Cosine square of alpha by 2 minus sine square of alpha by 2. Here sine square of alpha by 2 plus cosine square of alpha by 2. Am I right? Yes. Now we can separate according to division of polynomial by mono. So you have cosine of alpha by 2 is equal to, in here, cosine square divided by this cosine square. Cosine square of alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2 minus sine square of alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2. Am I right? Yes. Now here also sine square of alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2 minus plus cosine square of alpha by 2 divided by cosine square of alpha by 2. This is cancelled. Here this one is cancelled. So you will have cosine of alpha by 2. This is cancelled, which is 1, minus sine divided by cosine tangent square of alpha by 2. It is 2 times. Now this one is tangent and that one is 1. 1 plus tangent square of alpha by 2. Cosine with cosine, this is cancelled, which is 1 plus sine by cosine, it is tangent. If this one is, oh, I'm sorry, this is alpha. Now for cosine alpha, it is half. For 2 alpha, it's 1 alpha. For 3 alpha, it's what? 3 alpha by 2. For 4 alpha, it is 2 alpha. For 5 alpha, 5 alpha by 2. Am I right or not? For cosine of 2 alpha, in terms of tangent, what this one is? 1 minus tangent of square of half of this one. Alpha, 1 plus tangent square of alpha. For 3 alpha, sine of 3, cosine of 3 alpha. What's the formula? 1 minus tangent square of half of this one, 3 alpha by 2, and 1 plus tangent square 3 alpha by 2. Like this one. We can define other terms also. Write it please. To define tangent, it's very easy. Tangent of alpha, can I write this one? Sine of alpha divided by cosine of alpha? Yes. Now tangent of alpha is, what's the formula for sine in terms of tangent alpha by 2? This is 2 tangent alpha by 2 divided by 1 minus or 1 plus tangent square of alpha by 2. Am I right or not? Yes. What's the formula for cosine? 1 minus tangent square of alpha by 2 divided by 1 plus tangent square of alpha by 2. This is cancelled. So tangent of alpha is 2 tangent alpha by 2, 1 minus tangent square of alpha by 2. This is the formula that we have proved also in 3.4. In 3.4 also we have proved this one. According to tangent of 2 alpha and alpha, we have proved. Right now, here tangent of alpha is 2 tangent alpha by 2, 1 minus tangent square of alpha by 2. If this one is 2 alpha, tangent of 2 alpha. So what's the formula? This should be half of this one. So 2 tangent of alpha, 1 minus tangent square of alpha. Am I right or not? One thing you have to know, which is very important, for sine of alpha, the formula is 2 tangent alpha by 2, 1 plus tangent square of alpha by 2. And for tangent alpha, the formula is the same. In here we have negative 2 tangent of alpha by 2, 1 minus tangent square of alpha by 2. This is very important. If denominator has negative, so this is the formula for tangent. If it has positive, so this is the formula of sine. 2 tangent, same. 1, 1. Tangent square. But in here we have positive and this one is negative. You have to memorize this one. I think you have got. Write it, please. By the way, it was all we had in this lecture. See you in the next lecture. Inshallah, we will have our most interesting and fantastic examples related to lecture 3.4 and 3.5. Allah Hafiz.